Is Bitcoin capitulating or just a little consolidation? A little buy the dip opportunity. Stay tuned because you're watching Sacred Profit Sunday Fuel. Da-na-na-da,
Is that what it's called? Sunday Fuel?
Sunday Fuel, that's right. What happens on Sunday is Sunday Fuel. You know what we call it when it's on Mondays?
Sunday Fuel late.
Monday Fuel. Because it's like a different day. But on Tuesdays, it's Monday Fuel Revisited.
Revisit.
Yeah.
See. Okay.
Totally.
All right.
I seem giant compared to you. Should
Yeah.
I should zoom out my lens here.
No, it's fine.
Well, no. I look like a giant compared to you.
You'll be giant, but you can zoom out your lens.
Yeah, one sec. Oh, no, I can't do that with it. Yes, I can.
Look, I know why you're here. You want to find out the magic secret sauce that allows you to make millions in the markets. Well, I've got your secret sauce right here.
Excuse me.
It's called.
Excuse me. I don't want that at all. All right? Right? Even if you do have a good idea, we're not sharing that with the world.
That's actually a sure sign that somebody's got something good. It's when they're not sharing it with other people. All right. So people are like, oh, why isn't OpenAI just letting it all, just give it to open source it all? You're supposed to be open. That would be a red flag. If an OpenAI came out and it's like, we're open sourcing everything, I'm like, they got nothing. We've hit a wall. We've hit a wall. But as long as they keep it secret and NSA people keep joining their board and hundreds of billions of dollars get spent on infrastructure, I'm going to believe that what they have behind the scenes is way more advanced than what we got, which is what I want. That's what I want.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Which is why I think like social engineering attacks and stuff like that should just steal the money from people. You steal from some wealthy crypto owner, you just make that money one time. Okay, you get $100 million once. Who cares? What you want is the secret sauce for how they did it, how they figured it out. And then you can feed a fish for whatever. Feed a fisherman.
I think it's you can't bring a fish to water.
You can't drink fish's water. Wait.
She sells fishes by the seashore.
There we go. You got it. All right, no, so I don't want to come on here to get some a nice little victory lap for what happened last week. So remember last week's trade, the idea here was that Bitcoin was going to be at a certain level, it'll shoot up to around 104 and then roll over. Do you remember this?
I do remember. I edited the video.
Yeah, so you want to go ahead and roll that clip?
Jamie?
Let me just pull up the chart here. 1 second. All right. All right. We were talking about, we were around here. 1 second. So last Friday, it was last Monday we talked about this, right? Because it was a Monday fuel. So around here, in this area. That's right. We had just fallen off this cliff. And the idea is, hey, where are we going to go from over here? And just like we talked about, the idea here is that this would be a support area and that our signal was showing us that the price should head from this area here to, let's wait for this to load, this level up here. And what I was saying is that if the price gets to 104-ish, the 104-ish area, and then retreats down, that chances are we're headed towards the only other level left right now, like unmitigated level, which would be around 88. Now, it doesn't mean we have to get to 88. It just means that the price gets pulled and pushed past these levels, right? These institutions are moving the price and they get push and pull. And if there's no magnet at the top to pull the price up, well, then it'll go to the next level, which is exactly what we've seen.
If there's no magnet at the top, Are
Yeah.
we
So
all
these
supposed to
price,
understand this Rain Man situation you got
if
going
there's
on?
no price level that's calling the chart, the chart will generally go to whatever is the strongest and or closest price magnet. That could be volume levels, that can be trend lines, that could be psychological levels, that could be um, all kinds of different things. Our system is built on volume weighted average price, and those are the levels that we follow. And so we went from the 99, yeah, the 99.2 level up to the 104 because after we cleared this level, which was sitting here, we moved up. Do you remember, Peter? I talked about how on the weekly trade the price came down, but then it missed it by like just a couple of hundred.
Yeah, and you said it was OCD, so it had to like go back.
Exactly. And so we went away, and then it came back to that level. And then since we cleared that level, now we had enough room to move up to the next level, which was actually created from this drop. This drop over here actually helped create this new level up here. And then we went back up to that level to test it to go, hey, is there anything else? We get up here, price says, I don't see anything else up here for me to go to. We already cleared all the top levels. Now we can go, now we can head down. Now, what's interesting here, the question here is for if we're in the capitulation area or not. So we can, on the longer term trend, let me just hide the trend. And all right, on the longer trend here, we can stay above 74 and still technically be bullish trend longer term, right?
Look, if
Um,
we get anywhere close to 74,
right.
I'm calling it time of death.
People are going to be really quite upset, but we need orders. We need something to propel the price upwards. We need that liquidity, and we don't have much liquidity right now. We're actually we're actually following the liquidity that we expect. If I pull up our global 2, I believe this is the one. No, wrong one. Second. There you are. If we pull up M2 global liquidity. All right, this is our liquidity index. Let's just hide RSI here for a bit. Oh, Peter, I think I'm hearing you from your microphone on your headphones, not the SMB, because I hear the kid.
Uh, there's no microphone on my headphones.
Oh, well then I'm hearing the little tyke.
All right.
Maybe the gain's too high.
Is that better?
No.
You can still hear?
Yes.
How about now?
Barely.
Barely any different, or barely you can hear me?
I could hear you.
Oh, strange.
It's better.
Um, I don't know. I'll put myself on mute. And that's why you can hear it.
No, it's fine. Don't worry. Now it's fine actually.
All right.
Yeah. Uh, Although she does sound very cute in the background there. All right. So the liquidity that we've been following. So aside from the levels of where the prices are being pushed and pulled, we also take a look at the global dollar liquidity within the financial system. And as a proxy, we have our global liquidity index that's calculated here. And I don't know, Peter, if we've ever talked about this idea here that we have liquidity calculations, which are seen here in purple, that are contemporaneous. They're the signals as they are right now. But it generally takes about around 70, 75 days for liquidity to actually bleed into the system. And so that's why you can see stuff like over here where the peak in price up here for Bitcoin matches a liquidity peak over here. That's offset. It's this peak from what the liquidity actually flowed into the markets in October of 2024, but only showed up like peaked into the Bitcoin market in December 2024. So I offset that price, but then you also want to take a look at what's going on contemporaneously with liquidity, because then you can get jumps of liquidity like you're seeing over here, this pink, this purple area here, where there's a jump of liquidity that even though the liquidity is going down, the short-term liquidity is going up, and that could also be short-term bullish. So, for example, over here, this jump, this bounce that we had from this level over here up coincided with a rise in liquidity from the purple area, even though ultimately the lag liquidity is what we actually follow back down. Anyway, so I just thought that was interesting. But what's interesting there, it means that if we just go on the liquidity that has already been injected into the system, we're in a consolidation area right now. Like, we should keep falling for a little bit. It could be anywhere from here down to 88. Like I said, you never know how far it can go, but we have this downward pressure that's happening right now. Then I expect to have a bounce. So I actually wouldn't be surprised to see a bounce even from here back up to this trend area. So back up from, let's say, 96,000 to, let's call it 103. And then it meanders and then rolls over again, heads back down, and then we basically just bounce around in this channel a little bit until we get to April, where we get a major bounce again. Actually, we could even end up capitulating sometime in March, like some real big drop in March, who knows from what level, and then bounce up from April. Now, what is encouraging is that we do have this increase of liquidity that has started. So we'll see. It came into effect. Trump became president January 20th, and liquidity started to take off, and so that could be pretty good. It could be this rise of liquidity that offsets the lag of liquidity that's there, and then we can get our bull market, blow off top in Bitcoin over the next year or so. Which I find to be pretty optimistic. So one of the things here that I wanted to mention is I think we talked about it, or I can't remember if I talked about it here on Traders Post, but Raoul Powell, he makes the case that the reason why the dollar is strong right now, which is one of the main drivers of global dollar liquidity, right? So that's the whole point. How the higher the value is for the USD in the forex markets, it means that people are paying a premium or paying more for access to the dollar, which means there's a shortage of it. If there wasn't a shortage of it, you'd have to lower the price in order to get people to buy it. So the fact that the dollar is increasing right now, or has stayed pretty steady. Take a look at the daily on the DXY. We got this bounce here around September 30th, 2024, all the way up, and that's a pretty strong move for the dollar. Now, I've been saying that I could see the dollar getting all the way to the 120s at the top of this channel before it rolled over, and that could very well be the case. But if we take a look at the last time Donald Trump was president, we had this run up where the dollar ran all the way up and then rolled over significantly. And so if we get this, that would coincide with this blow off top that we get in Bitcoin and then in the alt markets. So it's what I'm paying attention to. I just wanted to jump on here to discuss that. So for the short term price expectation, if we hold this level, if we hold this trend line here, this trend from 96.8 up, if we hold this, then fine. Then I could see us bouncing around here a bit, but chances are we are headed towards this $88,000 level. Like, to me, it seems pretty likely that we're going to head down there.
By when?
It's hard to say by when for this. It would have to be. Actually, no, it wouldn't be hard to say. It would have to be by February 10th or so.
By the dip?
I'm short. I've been shorting. I shorted since up here to this level, and so I'll only go long when the chart's saying. Now, if you're a long-term hodler, of course, every one of these dips buy. If you're one of these people who want to bottom pick, like you want to get the absolute bottom, I would only be buying at these trends. So the buying levels would be right around here at 96.8, then at around 93, and then again at 88, and 88, and let's call it 83. But ultimate bottom could be 74.
What do your signal people getting your signal, what should they do?
Well, if you're dealing with my signal, you're dealing with 50x leverage, and you're in it for the short-term plays, right? We're not in. There's no long-term 50x play that I'm going to be advocating. So you guys don't have access to these indicators unless you sign up to our group, and that sign up link will be showing up soon. So that's why I'm doing these videos publicly for now, so you can take a look. But essentially, we have these levels that are building, these bullish levels that are building. One at 104 or 103.9, another one at 101.7, and then now at 99. These are bullish levels. They're almost like a trigger, where when the price rises up, they're going to just be gobbled up, right? In the same way that that we had it over here. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago when we had this price rise. We had this drop down to this level, and then when it was done, we had to go and clear these levels 1, 2, 3. We just cleared those levels, headed back up, and then it was only when that was done that it petered out, right? So the more of these levels get created, which we have here, here, and here, the more of these levels get created down, when we do hit the perfect level, boom, we'll shoot back up. So what I would suggest for the people following my type of strategy is that you keep shorting. So whenever the price gets to VWAP, you just keep shorting lower until we close above VWAP again, and then you stop all your shorts. But until then, you keep shorting until you get to one of these wave areas. The next wave area is down here around 91.4, and that's where I'd be looking for a bunch of volatility between there and 88 to get a pretty hard bounce. And I wouldn't be surprised if that bounce like launched us all the way back up to like a trend here. Like, I would not be surprised if the price came and revisited somewhere around these areas, liquidated a bunch of shorts, and then maybe we bounce around for a bit. So we'll see.
Where's this banana zone, Tom? You can full screen this if you want, but where's this banana zone?
It's so interesting. It's one of those things where whenever I hear everyone's talking about it, then it's done. Like, the thing can't happen while everyone's watching. It's really quite fascinating. It's like people will look at the previous cycles and they'll say, okay, this is what happened then. But what also happened then is that you weren't looking at this then. A bunch of people weren't looking at it. Raul Powell didn't publish it in his thing. People weren't wearing Banana Zone t-shirts and setting up a bunch of trades and be like sitting around going, hey guys, yeah, we're really gonna get everybody else. No, we're all here. We're all waiting. This is like my favorite Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban. Harry Potter is waiting on the banks of a lake, and he's watching himself on the other side, and he remembers he gets saved by a Patronus charm, and he's sitting there going, "That's my father's Patronus, and my father's going to come and save and save me." And then he realizes, no, he has to do it, and he expecto Patronum. And I thought, is he mentally unwell, your father's dead, Harry. Obviously, you're the one who had to have done this. You're the one there. You're the one who's doing it. And so if we're the ones who have to buy, then we have to be in a situation where we don't have it and we're chasing the price. So people who are sitting there with their large leverage positions, and oh, yeah, I'm pretty set for this banana zone, buddy. You're the guy who's supposed to drive the price up, so you're not ready yet. So I expect I'm waiting for the I'd want to see a major capitulation first happen, and then we can clear a bunch of that stuff and move up. Either that or a disaster occurs. Some people might be like, "Oh, I wouldn't want a disaster." Really, if you could go back and do COVID again, knowing everything you knew now, 9.5 people out of 10 would be like, "I'm going to go back and do COVID again."
Traders, yeah, for sure. Will Bitcoin become a reserve asset for the federal government when that causes a banana zone?
Peter, I never thought it would be. Not any time in our lifetimes or anything like that. I guess I didn't really understand the power of the fourth turning, really, because we're in a situation where they tried BRICS, right? They tried to replace currency. That didn't go so well. Turns out when you have Russia and China inside of your team, people, it's sort of like teaming up with Malfoy and Snape. You sort of like, where is this going to go?
Did you watch Harry Potter recently?
Yes, Christmas. I watched all of them every year. But it plays so well. I find that my district one comments, which I use all the time, might be a little too heavy-handed for some people. Sometimes some Harry Potter, some Lord of the Rings are going to come into play. Peter, I'm all about literature. Right. For young adults. If it's for young adults, I'm all for literature.
All right, so Malfoy and Snape, they combine?
Exactly. People aren't so keen to be like, you know what, let's get off this US dollar I've been using my entire life and jump onto the ruble, the yen. Not expecting that. So that didn't really take off so well. Wars don't help, apparently. So, but we do need the. I talked about this with Mike on a Trader's Post, so definitely go take a look at that video if you're interested. But the long and short of it is that Triffin's dilemma makes it so that any country that has the world reserve currency eventually will be in a situation where they're faced with one of two outcomes. One is the complete dissolution of the social fabric of their own country, which then eventually leads to the end of the reserve currency as they're not able to maintain it, and do what's necessary to supply the capital markets in order to maintain it. Or two, they decide enough with this. We need to focus on domestic policies, and then that causes massive deflation externally, and people go, well, you're not supplying what we need, and so you end the world reserve currency. Does that make sense when I say it that way? Do you understand those two things?
To be honest with you, I was thinking about something else, but I do remember it from Trader's Post. I do remember the two doom scenarios that you.
Well, I've been trying to describe a WIG as it seems like no matter how many times I've talked to people about it, they don't necessarily know what I mean. The idea is that you have you made a rule and everyone is allowed to have credit cards, right? So you're issuing the credit cards. That's a bad analogy.
Just do the dollar. Just explain the dollar again.
So the United States has the world reserve currency. What that means is that all the debts can be denominated in US dollars. If Canada and Australia wants to make a deal together, they can make a deal, denominated it in US dollars. That way, they don't have to constantly convert between Canadian, Australian dollars, and then when they deal with China, convert with yen, and then deal with another country, convert all the time. They can just have one currency and then trade between there. Makes it much easier to deal with, much less expensive, theoretically. So it's a medium of exchange in that way.
But it creates a demand for dollars.
It creates a demand for dollars, which is great for in one sense, for the issuer of those dollars, because the world reserve currency can only technically be issued by the United States. And so they get to make gold. So like, okay, everyone's trading gold, but we get to make gold. So wonderful. So you become a empire world superpower. because you could write a check that could never bounce. Doesn't matter. Remember when we were younger and millions was a lot of money, and then billions was a lot of money, and then trillions now are a lot of money? And now they're like, oh, what if Mr. Beast is going to be the first trillionaire? Yeah, that's because the United States is printing. No one's talking about the trillionaires in Australia, okay? No one's talking about trillionaires in Canada. They're printing their world reserve currency. But obviously, you have an unlimited credit card. That only works if everyone is like, okay, we agree that we're going to allow you to have this power because it's just so useful for us to have this currency. If you start going all crazy with this power, not going to be so keen. Not going to be so keen. And so, two ways they go crazy is one, the rest of the world needs dollars so much that they'll do anything to sell into the U.S. market in order for you to exchange their goods for your dollars. So they're like, okay, give me the US dollars you have. Here's this T-shirt made in China, and so they'll do whatever they can in order to solicit the business in another country. So people will be like, oh, these billionaires want to move their manufacturing base to another country just to save a nickel. No, Bernie Sanders, that's not what it is. Okay, they're perfectly happy to do it locally if the regulatory environment made sense and it made sense monetarily. The reason it doesn't make sense is that the foreign countries are willing to offer massive tax breaks and all kinds of different benefits in order to get them there, because that means dollars get spent in their location because of that, and they get to sell those products into the United States, and then more dollars come out. So it's just this pool of dollars that need to come out of the United States, just constantly needs to come out of the United States and be created through the euro dollar system. But don't worry about that. It needs to come out of the United States, come out of the United States, come out of the United States. But as it does that, manufacturing in the United States and production in the United States goes down. It becomes a service-based industry because you're not making anything.
Right.
So it's like, I'm going to be a Twitch streamer, I'm going to be a YouTuber, I'm going to be a whatever. It's a service-based industry, and the people abroad are like, yeah, keep going, like whatever it takes for you to make more of the dollars to spin out, do whatever you need to do. But then people are like, well, I can't make a living with a new business, I can't do that. And then the politicians, they don't have any constraint over what they need to do because they never have to like worry about the money of it. So they just do whatever. Whoever has money finds a way of lobbying to get more money and more power and more money and more power until you get what we see now. And so you have this hollowing out of the manufacturing base and the social fabric of the nation, which, if you let it keep on going, will then eventually lead to the collapse of that country. Or you get something like Make America Great Again, and they go tariffs on the rest of the world, domestic onshoring, no more trade deficits. We're going to make America healthy. Excuse me. That wasn't the deal. The deal is that we get to eat every part of your carcass slowly until the end of time, until we're done, and we're never going to be done. So sit down and let's eat. So
those are the two dooms. One doom is your country becomes hollow. The other doom is that you then secure yourself, but then lose the reserve status.
Yeah, because as you do that, the country's then not issuing dollars out anymore. The dollars are staying locally. So they're like, well, the deal is we get dollars.
But doesn't that mean that the dollars they already have go up in value?
Well, yes, it goes up in value. So that's how the dollar can crash up. It goes up in value because everyone wants it, because they need it, not because they want it, because they need it. But they need it to then pay down debts. So once they pay the debt, now they don't have the dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So what are they going to do now? Now they're sort of screwed. They have to get dollars for other debts, or they have to find other ways of doing transactions, which they don't have.
Bitcoin.
What Brick is trying to do. Bitcoin. So
Bitcoin enters the chat.
That's right. Bitcoin enters the chat, which is happening exactly around the same time as you would expect in the fourth turning, right? The last time this happened, when we went off the pound to the US dollar, happened around a fourth turning. And so now we're in another fourth turning again, and the system is changing. The what's weird here is it seems to be a global fourth turning.
So do you think Bitcoin will become the reserve asset, or one of the reserve assets of the United States?
Yes, because, well, who knows? Did you see the thing with Cardano? That
the digital ID?
The federal budget might be put onto a crypto
Not
ledger.
not only that, they're considering using it for digital ID. If I understood that correctly.
I don't see how crypto doesn't solve this thing.
Okay, won't
It's
that
not
be
used.
bullish for Bitcoin? Won't the price shoot up?
Yeah, especially for the CIA backed asset. Of course, it will shoot straight up to the moon, and that at the same time could then end up jubileeing a bunch of the debt. So it might be like exactly what's needed.
Is there a way? Do you think? I know we're getting sidetracked here. I don't want to keep you here, but I am curious. Can Bitcoin become so valuable that it saves the United States from their debt?
That's what I just said.
Like
Yeah.
30 trillion, like that
Yes.
much?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Did you watch Mark Andreessen on Lex Fridman?
No.
He said, if I remember correctly, that the US has $1 trillion debt, I don't know what it is, every 100 days.
Yeah.
And then it's going to become every 90 days and every 80 days, et cetera, et
Correct.
cetera.
Correct.
So how
As
long
interest
do
rates
they
keeps
have
going.
before this bit? I mean,
No
what do you
time.
got? You got to like full on Bitcoin.
Well, that's where the dollar, the price of the dollar, the XY, will tell you where are we in the fuse lit here. So if you see the dollar skyrocket, like just rip, there we go. Now we're in final days here.
And
Like
then how does
if it does Nvidia the GameStop level stuff, then we know we're almost done.
and wait, when you okay, so when that starts to happen, when you see it, when when all the bees have disappeared, you have how long do we have until the end once we see the DXY rip?
Well, it's done this ripping 3 times so far,
And
and
then
then it
they
pulled back.
then they
So it's all if they can squash it. If they can't squash it, how long? Wait, how long before you better have some Bitcoin to make sure that you can deal with this?
or like gold and weapons or
Uh,
something.
no, 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 no. We're not going to need all that. You're not going to need gold and weapons and all that. The information, the war is in our minds now. The war is for our minds, not counting the people who are actually dying in the wars out there. But I'm just saying that this war is a war for like our acquiescence. They want a slavery class who's comfortable with being a slave. I get it. I get it.
I'm good with it.
I understand why they're doing it, right? I'm not against oligarchs. I just want to understand why they're doing what they're doing, so I know do I become a cyborg? Do I work with AI? What is it going to need me to do here? How do I avoid the churn?
I'm looking for that Wally life. Okay, I want to be in a chair with VR goggles, hook me up, juice me, and that's all I need.
Wally was a criminal. He should have been executed.
He destroyed paradise.
Destroyed there. Oh my god. Yeah. So how long? I mean, real quick. I think it's gonna happen real quick because if you take a look at when I say real quick, I think one turning, so 20 years. Do you have 20 years in order to get it? No, 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 no.
Right.
Because
So, how does Bitcoin solve this? How does if Bitcoin becomes a reserve asset? How do they solve this debt crisis?
they start denominating the debts in Bitcoin instead.
And then
They
people are going to be wanting Bitcoin instead of the US dollar. The dollar will no longer. No, you still need a
yes.
currency.
Well, Bitcoin would be the currency.
Won't Bitcoin be like gold?
Yeah. So yeah, you're talking about like a stable coin. You would have a stable coin that's backed with Bitcoin, and then that stable coin would be issued. I mean, ideally for the people would be issued through a consensus mechanism with the blockchain. Obviously that's not going to happen. Obviously what's going to happen is going to be some centralized agency or some centralized systems or group of international whatevers that are going to do it, and that'll be issued, but it won't be tied to a particular government, and so you won't have Triffin's dilemma as we understand it, because they'll be able to issue an infinite number of them.
All right. Well, this
So
is good. This has been enlightening.
get Bitcoin, get Cardano, and they could be good to go.
Solana. What do you mean? It was just ripping. We were just seeing Solana at all time highs, all time highs, all time
Oh
highs.
my god! And I really regret not having any Luna too. My Safe Moon's doing real well.
Tom, it's a game of musical chairs. You got to get in, get out.
No, Cardano is the most decentralized cryptocurrency on the planet. I didn't
But
do the research
why does
myself, but
that
it was
matter?
said by Charles Hoskinson, and I believe him because he is the blockchain. I didn't know if you know that. We'll see. We'll see. And then AIs could come in all here, and we'd have robots and productivity. The whole it's golden age. But what you don't want to be is the people with no. You're not using AI or robotics or anything like that in order to generate new productivity or energy or wealth for yourself at all. That's new to you, and you have no crypto at all. Like those people are going to sell this thing. Those people, when they're in the bread lines, suffering on the street, and homelessness is up 40% and all that sort of thing, and we'd be like, "Oh, what happened to you?" Oh, it turns out only the people with crypto or AI or robotics survived. Just like in the industrial revolution. What happened to all the farmers? Most of them terrible. Like most of them gone. So you don't want to be one of those farmers who are like, I heard about this thing where the big city, I might be able to make it. City's been going on for 100 years, bud. You're kind of screwed here.
O3 Mini, have you tried it?
I was highly impressed with it. What I cared about is I don't care about the writing. It's been good enough for me for like 8 months now. All right, I'm not like worried about the writing. I use it in Cursor AI for coding, and I was having this problem. I was like, why isn't this getting it the way I wanted to do? I was like, oh, let me try L3. Like 10 times better. It got it exactly like I wanted, real quick, real smooth. It was up and working like in minutes. I was like, this is what I've been wanting. This is a step change. And then Sam Altman is sort of like, oh, this is not even like the best it can be. We have more coming down the chamber. I was like, this is great.
So did you use O3 Mini or O3 Mini High?
O3 Mini.
Really?
Yeah.
And that helped, that worked, that solved the problem for you? Because O3 Mini High apparently is way better than O3 Mini. We
I
only
didn't
get
even
we
try
only
high.
get we only get 50. I think we get 50 a week.
Well, I was comparing O3 to Claude Sonnet 3.5. Is that not a fair comparison?
Yeah, from everything I've seen, like it's pretty much like surprisingly, a lot of people who use 3.5 like it better than O3 Mini. But I
They
think
like
it's,
3.5 better than O3 Mini?
I mean, as far as you can deduce truth from the
Right.
internet, from my perspective, they're pretty even when it comes to coding specifically. I think it has a lot to do with, like, from what I understand with these models, you give them 10 problems, and there's some problems that one can solve and that the other one can't solve, and they have their different strengths. And then when it comes to writing, like not coding, there's a kind of a personality, a persona with the different models, a way that people kind of fall in love with. So if you kind of used to one way,
Well, to be fair, I was
you
using on
want the other way.
Cursor AI, and I don't know how it's balancing off. I know I'm selecting O3 for it to do its the coding, but I don't know how much it's like handing off certain things to other internal models and all that. So maybe I'm not getting that. All I know is that once I was using that, now I was getting the apps spit out the way I wanted them to be done. I just described them and spit them out properly, and the because I use the prompting. I always start with an idea, let's say for an app, and then I have the AI tool build out a project description for me, and then the tech stack for it, and then I talk back and forth to be like, okay, but what if I wanted to be like this, like that? These shortcomings, my understanding, blah blah blah. Then provides me with a full idea of the breakdown. Then I feed that into Cursor AI in order for it to do the task. And so I'm not expecting there should be a bunch of reasoning of what should be used and how it should be used and all that. All that's already prepared. So when I provide that to 3.5 Sonnet to Claude, it was getting it wrong for the project I was doing all the time. I constantly have to go back and revisit. No, try this. No, try that. Even though it's like okay, but it was getting specific aspects very wrong. and then I used O3. I was like, oh, let me just try. Like I forgot you messaged me. O3 is there. I tried it, and immediately first shot it worked.
I've been hearing a lot of that. Is AI helping you with your signal?
No, not yet. I want to get external factors into here. In fact, the dashboard that we're going to be building, no, I'm not going to show it now. The dashboard that we're building out is going to eventually have external data piped into it, and I'll be able to process it, including with AI, in order to get people a nice overview, so that they're like, okay, Tom, what's in your head here? No, these are the 19 things that I'm paying attention to all the time, contextualized in a specific way. So we'll have it there. But as far as the signals are concerned, they're currently not adjusted at all for that sort of thing. I think that's useful for like sentiment, for certain types of assets. If I'm trading Tesla, I want to know what the sentiment is outside. If I'm going through uh, uh, public reports from the company, tech analysis, if I wanted to see what people are tweeting online, because that might move a thing, fine. I'm probably going to do it for when we need
Meme coins?
meme coins, exactly. Then I'll do that. But the signal works. Our signal works based on institutional involvement. So there's no institutional involvement, significant institutional involvement, and usually two sides on that asset. It's not going to work. Makes me wonder. I should try this on Solana, because they're probably VC institution heavy.
Yeah. Isn't you told me to get Solana because of the VC play.
Yeah, but I wonder if the signal would work pretty well on Solana. Let me just take a quick look. And does it? Oh boy, it does, baby. It's too bad Solana is a wonderful project that I'm just not smart enough to be able to understand. Please don't hurt
Nice
me.
save. Nice save. All right, brother.
All right. Thank you so much. And we'll be back next Sunday for more Sunday Fuel.
Sunday fuel.
All right. So that was a good practice run. Let's go live and do it for real. Okay. And we're going live.